Welcome to the Pull Bag. Join us as we dig out our latest comics and discuss them with the rotating panel of the GCRN crew. So sit back and enjoy this week's Pull Bag.
Clever?
Brilliant.
Yeah, I can tell you're less than thrilled. You know, for what it's worth, I actually enjoyed some of our romps. But there comes a time when a gal wants more. And now all this gal wants is to settle down with her lovin' sweetheart.
You and the Joker?
Right-a, Rooney! I've never seen you laugh before. I don't think I like it. Cut it out! You're giving me the creeps!
You little fool.
Hello and welcome to the Pull Bag. This is episode 36. That's right. Yes, I forgot my own numbering. I am your host, Steve, Joe, and Mike, and this is DC Villains Month Part 2. Joining me, as always, is Steve Megatron. Hello.
Hello!
How are you?
Energetic!
Apparently so. Yeah, he's energetic at midnight, and I'm, like, ready to just fall asleep right here.
No, it's probably being delirious.
Yeah.
I'm editing, too, and I just recorded HU, so woohoo!
Yes, we are here to talk about Villains Month Part 2. As you all heard the other day on Villains Month Part 1, we're only doing Bat villains because, well, I like some of the other DC villains. I do. The Bat villains are where my interest lies, and I know that's where your interest lies as well. And I'm, like I said the other day, 52 titles even at discounted price, that's too much money.
That's a lot of money.
Too much money. So this time around, we're going to be talking about Two-Face, Court of Owls, Ras Al Ghul, and the League of Assassins, Shadows, what are they calling on here? League of Assassins, and Harley Quinn. Before we get to that, you had brought up a news story to me, and I'll go ahead and read this. New Batman Weekly series and Detective Comics creative changes announced. Alright, so Batman Eternal is the newest weekly year-long series from DC Comics, and it's launching in spring 2014, just in time for Batman's 75th anniversary. Current Batman writer Scott Snyder will lead the series as its head writer and architect, with friends like James Tynion IV, John Layman, Ray Fawkes, and Tim Seeley, and artist Jason Fabok, amongst other unannounced artists rotating in from arc to arc. In addition, a special 104-page Detective Comics number 27 in January will feature new stories by Snyder, Paul Dini, Brad Meltzer, Greg Hurwitz, and Peter Tomasi, and illustrators Neil Adams, Dustin Nguyen, and Francisco Francvilla. Oh, and a guy named Frank Miller, who's doing a 2-page spread for the story. The book is a special anniversary for the 75th, as Batman's first appearance was the original Detective number 27. After that, in February, the Flash team of Brian Bucilano and Francis Manapul will take over Detective Comics. So, Batman Eternal, what the heck is this gonna be? According to Snyder, he says of the new weekly Batman Eternal, "It's a place for me to be able to work with good friends in terms of shaping Gotham in a bigger, grander, and more game-changing way than ever before." He promises the craziest stories for Batman in history for the weekly. The first story arc is co-written directly by Snyder and Tynion, and the writer promises humongous newsworthy stuff in the story. Each subsequent arc will play to the strengths in individual writers. You'll see bombastic arcs as well, but there will be plenty of room for Ray to explore some of the darker, more mythical aspects as well. I don't know. Okay, it says it's going to be a weekly series, but it doesn't say is it going to be a weekly digital series at 99 cents or $1.99 or whatever, or is it going to be a weekly print series? If it's going to be a weekly print series either at $2.99 or $3.99, that's a lot of money for one title on a weekly basis.
Yeah, I kind of agree. I'm hoping that that's just like digital weekly, and then at the end of it, at the end of the month, they just have one issue and boom.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping. As much as I'm enjoying, because I have since I think since episode 34 went up of the podcast, I have since gotten both Batman Volume 1 and Volume 2, Court of Owls and Night of Owls, and I've been reading those, and it's an amazing, amazing story, and it's so much better than Death of the Family. But I can't commit to another Bat title. I just can't. Like, for me, Batman is and forever will always be in the main core New 52 title. Sure, he's going to guest spot in like Batgirl or Nightwing, or he's going to guest spot, but I personally don't think Batman needs however the hell many titles he has. Okay, I get Detective, that's fine, that's part of the old, that's continuing Detective Comics, or I know it's not continuing the story, but you know what I mean, it's continuing on the tradition of having a comic titled Detective Comics. I get that, but do we really need the Batman and series? Do we really need Legends of the Dark Knight? Do we really need all this other stuff with Bruce in it? It's like, oh my god.
Yeah. I kind of agree. I'm kind of done and over
if they're gonna forego a number of the titles to bring this on, or that might be all right. But if they're just gonna add this to the list of series that he's in, that's just too much for me. It really, really is.
I already think they have way too many way too many comics for the Batman title, or for character anyway. So it gets difficult being a fan of Batman and having to try and collect all these different storylines that are all intertwining.
Yeah. And it's not just Batman. We're not just ragging on Batman, because Steve and I both love the character. Steve loves it a little bit more than I do in comic, but, it's all of the characters. It's not just Batman. I know there are multiple Superman titles. Multiple Green Lantern titles I can kind of forgive, because each Green Lantern title is a different Green Lantern.
Yeah.
That makes sense. There are multiple Spider-Man titles now, even with the Superior Universe, with Ock being in Spidey's body. There are multiple X-Men. I don't get it. I understand they need to make money and all that, and they want to give fans, I guess, what they want. But I said after I added new animated adventures of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, I'm not adding anything else new. The only thing that I've added to my pull bag at my shop is the Transformers Dark Cybertron #1, but that is because it ties into an event that I'm going to be reading in the current ongoings that I'm already getting for the Transformers with Robots in Disguise and More Than Meets the Eye. I'm not adding any new titles. I don't care what comes out. I just can't. It's too overwhelming. I'm a completionist, but I'm not that much of a completionist when it comes to comics.
I don't think anybody is. Well, I can't say anybody, but I think most people are.
I don't think we can say anybody, because there are people out there that have garages full of long boxes, and that's great, but it just, I don't know. It's getting to be too much, and people might wonder, why is there 6, 7, 8, 9 episodes of the Pull Bag a month? Not just because I over did myself this year, the first year of the podcast, it's because I'm reading so much as well, and it's because I'm trying to also please the listeners in a in some ways with trying to get stuff that they want to read and or that they want to hear my opinions on or our opinions on that, so it's like it's crazy, very, very crazy. So speaking of crazy, let's go ahead and get to Villains Month with the first title, Two-Face #1, after this.
Monday on Batman, Two-Face seeks revenge.
Look at me!
Against the man who destroyed his life.
It's time to finish Thor.
Will Batman be able to save his old friend?
Let me help you.
Before he makes a fatal mistake. No, Two-Face, don't miss Batman, the animated series, Monday afternoon on Fox.
All right, so we start with Batman and Robin 23.1, which is Two-Face #1. I really specifically with this 3D cover. This really works with him flipping the coin. I know you can't tell because you're looking at it on your computer there, but that 3D cover is awesome with him flipping his coin. And it's basically, it opens with him arguing with himself, and I love that. I think that's great, hearing that internal monologue from Harvey. I think that's awesome.
Well, it's always interesting to see him kind of argue with himself, kind of justifying things between the two halves of his mind.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like a shattered glass situation.
Yeah, very much so. And this story is basically, the Scarecrow is there to make Harvey an offer, and Harvey's main thing is, the coin. The decision comes down to the coin, whatever it is. And it's so interesting. What do you think of the look of the Scarecrow in this?
I'm actually kind of a fan of it. I mean, it's different, yet it kind of almost harkens back to that Batman the Animated Series kind of look.
Mm. The page where Harvey says, "Who the hell is this owl guy?" The panel underneath that where Scarecrow is like doing his King of the World stance. It almost looks like, to me, his whole outfit there, it looks like he's a demented version of the Scarecrow from the Wizard of Oz.
I can see that.
Yeah. You have the right to remain silent or scream. Your choice. Yeah. See, now this is a villain book I can get behind because I have it's written well. I'm not saying the ones we reviewed in episode 35 weren't written well, but they just didn't hit me like I thought. Like, when I think of, okay, Joker's going to take over, I'm thinking something like Wild Cards or something like Joker's Favor, or, something that actually is a story of him taking over, not some crazy origin story with him having a chimp for a kid.
Yeah. I don't have any answer for you there. Gotta give it to old Harv there.
Yeah. And I love how they show when Harvey was before he was Two-Face. I love how they show where Gordon and he and Batman are working together. I think that's great. That's interesting because this is kind of an origin story, but it's also the Court of Owls, I guess, trying to make a deal with him. And the design on the design on Harvey on the left side of the face. I mean, in a couple of the panels, it's I swear it reminds me just of Tommy Lee Jones from Batman Forever. Just the way that it's designed and the way that the red looks, and Like the page where he says, like I told Scarecrow, I only agreed to accept the invite because I was promised that the coin decides the fate, not me or not this secret society. If you look at that panel where he's flipping the coin and he's got the gun up to his face, it just the red side reminds me so much of the Tommy Lee Jones design from Batman Forever.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, it's just. What do you think of this so far?
I gotta say I'm more of a fan of the Harvey Dent Two-Face version of Villains Month.
Yeah.
Because it's a lot of inner turmoil and a lot of him kind of, even though you know he's bad, he's still almost kind of riding that line, even though most of his decisions are by that stupid coin.
Mm-hmm.
And then I like the fact that he's kind of still his own guy. He does what the hell he wants and what benefits him. And the fact that he even puts himself on trial.
Yes, he does.
I will blow my own brains out if this coin tells me to. Would you jump off a bridge? Yes, I would.
That's a better trial than what Judgment Day was.
Damn third personality stabbed him in the back.
I know, right? I love how this ends. Heads, I save Gotham. Tails, I let it bleed. See, now that's the way to end a story. And there is nothing on the bottom here that says, to be continued in the pages of. Now, I do know that Peter J. Tomasi, the writer, is bringing Two-Face in for, I think, a 3-story arc in Batman and... Well, it's going to be titled Batman and Two-Face now, but the Batman and series, I think it's a 3-issue arc that they're going to be bringing in. Overall, I really enjoyed Two-Face. It was a great read. The art was simply amazing. And it was a really, really interesting look at how Two-Face deals with himself and how he deals with others. I don't know. Any final thoughts on that one?
Well, I love the fact that he just kind of, he's almost kind of like the judge of the entire thing, takes everybody down. And
Yes.
Then I love the fact that he shoves a quarter in the guy's mouth. Swallow that, bitch. Heads or tails, you die on the quarter. But yeah, I like the fact that he just kind of, gets away scot-free from everybody in there and heads out on his own to wreak havoc on Gotham without anybody following him.
Yep. Yeah, it's simply awesome. All this talk about quarters has me thinking back to Uncle Buck. Here's a quarter. Get out of the corner. Have somebody gnaw that thing off your face.
I love that.
When he was talking to the principal.
Uh-huh. And then she just looks at him like, what?
Molly Wart's uncle. Alright. Up next we have Court of Owls #1. Now, I read this before I started reading the first 2 Batman trades. I assume these stories are supposed to be one-shots. I know that in some of them it says that they're going to continue in certain titles. But I came into this... I mean, I've only recently gotten the Court of Owls, Night of Owls trades, so I'm just now reading them over the past, 2 or 3 weeks, I guess. I know in other books that there has been mention of the court, and I know when I was reading Birds of Prey, there was mention of Batman having to deal with them, and so I know of them. So I figured going into this before reading the trades that I'd be alright, since it's a one-shot story, and I know all about the Talons and everything else. As someone who has already read fully, because I'm 2 issues into Night of Owls Volume 2, as someone who's read all the Court of Owls stuff so far, how does this stack up against what Scott did?
Well, being that he created the Court of Owls,
Yeah.
essentially, uh, it does definitely have that dark kind of vibe to it.
Mhm.
So I can definitely see how that relates. Because it's a lot of that gritty. It almost looks pre New 52 though, in the grit more so than
Yeah.
the beginning part. But uh, I think I think they captured it pretty well. Um, because
Yeah,
it's
'cause it's
this
the
secret society that's been around for generations underneath Gotham and pretty much destroying, killing everybody. And they have this. It's almost like Ra's al Ghul's secret society, only it's the Talons instead of Ra's,
Mhm.
or the long lineage of Batman and the Wayne family before
Yeah.
getting to that. So I mean, I can definitely feel the vibe there.
Yeah. Well, it is written by one of the backup writers on Batman, James Tynion the Fourth. So that's that's a plus, I would say. Um, I like how they're referencing all the other new 52 stuff when it gets to the present day pages because it's like the Justice League is dead, the world is ours. So I like how all of these villains things are tying into DC's Forever Evil and the Villains Take Over event. I like the art. I think the art's good. I think it does match what I've read so far in the two previous trades from Snyder. Um, I just like the whole time, and I'm kind of spoiling this because we'll get to this down the line here in the pull bag, but the court just doesn't seem like. Sure, in the first trades there was the whole thing with Lincoln Marsh or Lincoln March. I'm sorry, but here it's like, hey, I'm a Talon. I'm killing people for the court. Like, I don't see how they could take over anything, honestly, in this. I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know.
It's
I didn't
it's
enjoy this one as much as I thought I was going to. Like I said, I like the art. I like the different references to the fact that the villains have taken over. Um, but I mean, it just I, I don't know. It's it's strange. It's a bunch of people in Halloween masks.
oh yeah, I can I can relate. I'm not gonna lie. I don't quite care for the Court of Owls outside of
When
um
Batman's facing them.
yeah.
Yeah. Uh, you could have given this to, or you could have just not had this title. Or you could have given it to Poison Ivy. I mean, hell, Harley got her own Villain Month title. I think Poison Ivy and I mean, hell, you could have given this to Egghead and it would have been better.
Egghead.
That's right, I went there.
Egghead.
Up next is Batman and Robin 23.3, Ra's al Ghul and the League of Assassins. What do you think of that cover?
I love it.
Yeah, that is such an awesome cover. Just in the 3D version of it, the way that the Lazarus pit smoke or fire or whatever it is, the way that it plays in 3, oh my, that's just creepy as all hell. Um, I mentioned in episode 35, I love how all these covers depict Batman tied up or subdued in some way, yet he's never, outside of the flashback in Two-Face, where he's standing alongside Dent and Gordon, he's never actually in these books. um, so this one is a an origin story for Ra's. I think this is cool because, we've seen the origins via the DC animated universe, but like this is my first time really seeing how Raish became who he is through comic form. And I don't know, I really like the story. I thought it was great.
I have to agree. I think Ra's al Ghul is one of those important villains of the DC universe. That's kind of he's kind of a villain, but kind of not.
Yeah.
Because he's trying to do what he believes in.
Yeah.
And because he's lived so long, there's a lot that he's accomplished and a lot that he's tried to offset and everything. But I find him very interesting in the fact that he's so old and all this stuff that he's accomplished and continues to accomplish until he interfered with Batman, causing himself more headache than it was worth.
Yep. Yeah, for 700 years old, that guy looks amazingly young.
It's like Yoda.
Somehow I doubt Raish would have the humor Yoda has in Return of the Jedi.
When 900 years old you be, balls be so big.
Yeah. The whole time I was reading this, I kept thinking that, and I don't know if this is true. I don't know if Marvel copies DC and vice versa, but if you look at the two companies, Batman and Iron Man have similar, not all together the same traits, but similar pasts and similar traits of they're both regular heroes and they both created their own destinies and this, that, and the other thing. Some of their villains are also the same because Raish to me is DC's, even though I'm not saying Raish is not a good or a bad villain, I'm saying that Raish is similar to the Mandarin, who has also lived numerous upon numerous amounts of years and years and years, and I don't know, the whole time I was reading this I kept thinking of the Mandarin for some reason, and not that drunk actor from Iron Man 3, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Sad.
Batman does show up in this. I forgot he did. Huh. Might be one of the only villains books that he shows up in, at least out of Villains Month. Overall, I really enjoyed this. I thought it was great. I actually did really enjoy. I was kind of shocked when Batman showed up because it's basically referencing TAS because he has his pants and his cowl on. That's pretty much it. Because let's face it, Raish does already know who he is. And that ending was really, really good. I thought that was one hell of a way to end it because it ends with next. See the latest machinations of Ra's al Ghul unfold in the pages of Red Hood and the Outlaws. So it's going to be interesting to see Red Hood versus Ra's al Ghul.
Yeah,
That's going to be really interesting. What did you think of this one overall?
I actually really enjoyed it. I love anytime Ra's al Ghul is involved. I like the fact that he bests this guy that is cocky coming in there, like, oh, we're taking you down, and it has a lot of flashbacks to Batman fighting him, and this guy that is fighting Raish is trying to blackmail him and he's just being cocky in general, and then Raish just laughs at him, and this guy's trying to electrocute and everything, and he shocks some guys, and then the defenses of Raisha's castle, just freaking like Passion of the Christ him. And
yeah.
and then he's like, I can't do it. And he's like, no. And he's like, how? And he's like, did you really think you found me here because you unlocked my mind? He's like, nope, I came to this wretched tower because we caught wind of your people hunting me down. And it's funny because that's his, like, fortress for all the generations, and he just lets this guy just hang there and drip dry.
Yeah. Oh, man.
But, and then he talks about himself being stuck in his tower, and, and then says that, he'll prepare to tear the world and rebuild it in his own image, as he has always done and always will. And it makes it more interesting seeing that. Raish is awesome. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah, he is. And over on Detective Comics, Harley has taken over. I like this design on Harley, but I almost wish it would have been, since they do have Batman tied up, I almost wish it was the DCAU style Harley with him hanging upside down over a fish tank.
I like this design of Harley too, not because she looks all slutty and everything, but because I don't know, it's as close to her DCAU with like how the hair is and the face and aspects of the color of the costume.
Yeah.
It's as close. I mean, of course, it's skimpy as hell, but it's like they mixed part of that with the video game essence of the character.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And she's got a goofy looking cape behind her.
Yeah, it doesn't even look like a cape. I know
it does on the cover.
Yeah.
It's it's a little strange, and then it showing all of her origins in essence, and then infatuation with the Joker before he went apeshit. But
she is getting.
She's got a.
Go ahead.
What's that?
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say she's got a pretty messed up life.
Yeah, she does.
And this is a weird origin story for that character. Like, I like it because it shows a lot of background into her persona.
Yeah.
But it's interesting to say the least. And then that last that other villain that's next to her at the end is kind of confusing because I have no idea who the hell he is.
Oh, at the very end? Let me get there.
Yeah. Because they're both on the Suicide Squad, but I don't know who the heck he is.
Oh, I probably won't know who he is then either because I don't read Suicide Squad. Suicide Squad, Forever Evil tie-in. Deadshot, maybe?
It could be. That's your guess is as good as mine. I know he's died numerous times in the comics. They keep bringing him back in the Suicide Squad because he's always a clone or reanimate him.
It's either. Yeah, I would say dead. Listeners, let us know. The very end of the Harley Quinn #1 Detective Comics 23.2. Let us know if that's Deadshot. That's what it looks like to me.
I'm not familiar with a lot of the New 52 revamp looks of the characters, so that's entirely possible that's who it is, but I'm not sure. Your guess is as good as mine.
Yeah. But yeah, you're right. This origin story is damn awesome, and I thought it was a really, really fun read. I didn't have like some of these I had some of the villains books that I read, I had really high expectations for them, and some of them really let me down. And then others I just went in just thinking, oh, this is going to be pure, unadulterated fun, and it's going to be great.
Well, and I think what makes this particular one interesting is the fact that it shows that she's screwed up from the get-go.
Yeah. Yeah, the Joker doesn't turn her. She already is screwed up.
Yeah, I mean, and it kind of adds something to her personality that she's already freaking nuts before she went into the asylum to diagnose the patients.
Yep, and I believe, I don't know if it's because of this Villains Month thing, but she's getting her own series ongoing this year again.
We'll see how long that lasts.
Huh?
We'll see how long that lasts.
Starts on November 6th with Harley Quinn #0. The bombastic debut issue features art by award-winning illustrators including Darwin Cook, Sam Keith, Tony S. Daniel, Paul Pope, Will Samuelson, Art Blazer, and others, but will any of them measure up to the exacting standards of the clown princess of crime? Don't miss the thrilling return of Harley Quinn in her own monthly series. It's written by Amanda Connor and Jimmy Palmiotti, so I like Harley, but I don't know if I like her enough to do a monthly. I would most likely, get it in trade, but I don't know. I don't know. All right, so that's it for us for Villains Month. We're going to take a quick ad break. We're going to come back with our final thoughts and ratings on these 4 comics, and we'll preview what's coming up next here in the Pull Bag after this.
Is this thing on? Oh, goody. Why, hello there. It's your dear old Uncle Joker here. I bet you're asking yourself, what could I be possibly doing here of all places? Well, I'm laughing at the fact that this new podcast presented by Geekcast Radio is called Legends of the Dark Knight. Who the heck knew the Bat was so popular? Ugh. Join Steve, Mike, and sometimes Tara for reviews on the greatest DC animated universe cartoon to ever meet Gotham City. So join moi for the talk of the town, or I'll send Captain Clown after you. He gets mighty angry when he doesn't get to have his garbage skull. So put on a nice big smile and join us for the next Geekcast Radio Network podcast, Legends of the Dark Knight.
Alright, we are back here in the Full Bag, and we're going to give final thoughts and ratings on each of the comics that we talked about here in Villains Month Part 2. For Two-Face, for me, I gotta give it a perfect. Everything, the story was great, the art was great, it was just all around, I really, really enjoyed it, and it was pretty damn awesome and interesting. What about you for Two-Face?
I would give it probably a 4.5, the almost perfect tab, just because I really enjoy it, but I still felt like there could have been just a little bit more to it. But I don't know what that is, but I felt like there was something that was missing, just slightly. But it was overall really good. I really like the fact that he's he's kind of typical Two-Face, but I liked seeing him actually show up and do something.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. All right, Court of Owls #1 for me. It just, because what I did was I read this, and then as I said, I read this first. I read the trades, and I'm in the middle of the second volume of Batman, and I'm reading that, and it's so much better than this. It really, really is. As a one-shot story, I don't think the Court of Owls really plays all that well, so I'm gonna give it 2 stars. Disliked it. Like going back and reading this again. I'm like, oh my god, why did they pick the Court of Owls? And since they did pick the Court of Owls, why didn't they get the guy to actually create it to write it? I know Scott Snyder is super busy with everything he's doing, but I mean, seriously.
Well, because they probably got the writing team from Talon.
Yeah.
Which is one of the Court of Owls that defected.
Yeah.
I myself would have to give it like a 2 to be fair to it.
Yeah.
Because it's not terrible, which is the next rating. I just liked it, which is this rating.
Yeah.
It's not really something I care about. I don't really like the Court of Owls all that much outside of when Batman has a direct interaction with them.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, it's not one of those characters that, I mean, yeah, it's a great organization that is battling, but I don't care about them. Whereas like Raish's organization, I care about them. You know, so I mean, it's another one of those kind of, but it also could be just because they're not as ingrained in the continuity as everybody else is at this point, and it could be just that, you know, I mean, like you said, Scott didn't write it, so that's part of it. Then the other part is it's not mainstream. It's just that's one of those new characters, and those usually take like 10, 20 years for people to catch on.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, when they actually present a threat to Batman himself, you know, when they're breaking into his house and, you know, trying to destroy, that's different.
Hydro Kids, Hydro Butler.
Run him over with your Batmobile, Batman. All right, for Ras Al Ghul, for me, I'm going to give it a 4-star rating, which is really liked it. I thought it was really good. It was a really great origin story. It was nice seeing the flashbacks. It was nice getting the illusions about him and Batman and all that. I really, really enjoyed that. So what about you for Ras?
I'd give it a 5, just because I really like Ras Al Ghul. I like his persona. I think they captured his essence really well. The fact that he's diabolical, plotting, and you know, and then had the nods to some of the Batman stuff with that, and then showing that he's, no matter what, still like 10 steps ahead of everybody other than Batman.
Yeah.
So I definitely I definitely give it a 5.
All right. And for me, the other one that gets a 5 is Harley Quinn. There's ways that people have characters like the Joker and make the story all about him, and then just have him have a sidekick. Yes, I can't talk after midnight. You know. But, you know, Harley is her own character. She always kind of has been, and this really gave her, like you said, it really showed her personality without, I hate to say this, but without the hindrance of the Joker. I mean, without his personality overpowering her. And that's why it gets 5 out of 5 for me for this one.
I can see that. I myself would give it a 5 out of 5 because it actually explains more about her background. Yes, Paul Dini created her. Yes, he did her initial interactions with the Joker, and then from then on out. But this adds another layer that shows she's always been screwed up in the head.
Yep.
Which leads her to Arkham, to the Joker, and then so on and so forth. You know, the rest is history and everything. And then she kind of broke it off with Joker when he went off the deep end, cutting his face off. But, you know, and then ended up with Suicide Squad. So, I mean, again, it's another one of those things that I think it's a nice touch, kind of giving her her own 2 legs to stand on instead of relying on the crutches of the Joker and the Suicide Squad.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. Final thoughts on Villains Month, sir, for the 2nd anniversary of the New 52?
Overall, not too bad. I think that there could have been something more constructive to do instead of Villains Month, but I can't really complain all that much. I myself, I may have read them all, did not want to buy any of them. They weren't buy-worthy to me. I didn't find them interesting enough to care to add them to the collection because for the most part, they're all origin stories or a look inside a particular part of certain characters. So I can see where it fits as far as continuity's purposes, but I myself would have rather that they would have done some kind of a 3-issue like special event. One in Batman, one in Detective, and one in like Legends or something, and then kind of tied them all together into one story between the 3 lines, just 1 issue per line. Have issue 23.5 and have all of them be that on that month, and then just gone to 24 instead of having 4 issues. It's like, thank you for stealing my money and beating me with a shovel.
Just think about those people out there, those comic readers out there that are the completionists, though, dude. And
I feel sorry for you because you must have spent like $400 this month.
Well, I did the math at my discount from my comic shop, which is 15% off cover. So $3.55 per issue times 52 issues, $184.60. And that's for all 52.
If you paid full price at $3.99 a pop, then you're paying $207.48 before tax.
Yeah, that's
no, thank you. I'll pass.
Do you have any, and I know this is extremely early to do this, and we'll have to do this closer to when the 3rd anniversary of New 52 comes up, or if they reboot again next year. Do you have any wishes for what they'll do for the next September event for 2014?
Stop rehashing old shit and do something new. No origin stories, Batman included. I don't know, let's press on, create something new, stop stomping on the past. Maybe have a unlikely team-ups issue.
Yeah.
I don't know. Something to kind of break, like Batman and Gordon or something, or something to, kind of break the status quo of some of the things. Something to kind of switch it up, but not... quite honestly, I'm sick of origin stories. I really am, because whether it's in film or it's in animation or it's in comic, even people that aren't familiar with the New 52 or aren't familiar with the old stuff, everyone knows them.
Well, that's because you have most mainstream people that have seen a movie or, have read a book or read at least one comic where they know, okay, Bruce Wayne, his parents died, which led him to become Batman, which led him to become this vigilante. Everybody knows that. I know a number of episodes ago, I had said something to the effect of, okay, Martha Wayne, she was his mom. Other than that, and other than the fact that she got shot, I know nothing about her. Now that I've read, I think is it in Court or Night? I think it's in Night. I think it's in Batman Volume 2, Night of Owls. There's a story with her and Thomas. It's kind of like a flashback thing. I think it might have been the Batman Annual. I don't remember. But, I read that, and I was like, okay, I get where Martha Wayne's coming from. I get her character. She actually has a character. She's just not some one-shot woman who got shot. Sounds so wrong. So that's going to do it for us here on the Pull Bag for Villains Month. Coming up on the Pull Bag, we've got... Episode 37 will be Superior Spider-Man issue 16. Again, like I said, I think it was before issue 33, I had an announcement on there saying that I'm going to be changing some stuff up and moving some stuff around. And we'll see how it goes. Also, we've got coming up an Origins episode with TV's Mr. Neil, more Superior Spider-Man, Trial of the Punisher, and then Steve and I will be doing Bat Books number 24 issues for episode 40. And then November is Punisher month. So that's pretty much it for the holidays. I mean, there's going to be, I think, 1 or 2 episodes in December, but not many. So that's going to do it for us here in the Pull Bag and for Villains Month. I have been TF2 and Mike, and you are?
Steve Megatron Phillips.
Sounded like you were a record scratch there. Make your great escape into comics, and we will catch you next time.
Who are you? How did you get in here?
You must forgive Ubu, Detective. He is well trained. Allow me to introduce myself. I am he who is called Ras Al Ghul.
The demon's head. I thought you were only a legend.
I am quite real.
You just heard the latest episode of The Pull Bag, GCRN's comic book review podcast. There are several ways to get in touch with us and leave feedback for the show. You can visit the website, geekcastradio.com, where you can comment on the episode and all of our different podcasts. You can rate our show on iTunes. Be sure to leave us feedback. Call the voicemail line, 502-526-5821. Please remember to tell us the show you were leaving the message for and your name. Become a fan of us on Facebook by searching Geekcast Radio Network. You can send us an email, feedback@geekcastradio.com. Follow us on Twitter @GeekCastRadio. So until next time, unleash the geek in you.